So this is Tree Commission, Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. We've got Kippy Laughlin, Brianne Holman, John Parker, Nate Leimeister, Commissioner Waddington, Scott Cromer, and I'm Elizabeth.
Oh, me. Let's call the meeting to order. Gosh. All right. Okay, roll call. Did everybody read the minutes? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any corrections?
No.
Okay. If no corrections, then the minutes are approved. All right. Any reports? What do we have up first? There we go.
I think I'm next.
You're next.
So I'll read the tree stats for 2024. Trees removed, we've removed 207 trees, and we've ground 206 stumps. For 2025 season, we're hoping to be under 200. Trees trimmed, 590. We've got one more month of young tree training and complete trims. That should take us right around 700 or so. We've got 285 young tree trainings, 65 complete trims, 215 limb ups, 20 where we remove dead wood only, and 5 trim off the house. We've done 350 inspections. Storm cleanup wasn't too bad of a year. We only had like 100 maintenance tables for storm cleanups. Tree plantings, we have 149 new tree plantings. Approximately 10 more before the end of the year. We got a couple odds and ends that we got to finish up.
Are those mostly street, or is that a street and
I
and
would
city-owned property?
say, actually, there's going to be more than that because we're going to do some at the cemetery also.
Oh.
So we'll probably be more like 180. We'll be pushing 200 by the time we're done doing all of our plantings. And the 150 we got now is mainly in the boulevard. There's been, we did a few parks in the spring.
Yeah.
So,
A little
Yeah.
multiple trees and
Yeah.
a few parks that we did that were.
it's mainly been
over the years.
Yeah, mainly been in the boulevards.
Are you going to be removing the trees here on Columbus, or is that they're removing them as they go?
So we removed all of them here on Columbus that are getting removed, except for a couple of the younger ones that we might move, but we haven't decided yet what we're going to do with that for sure.
The younger one?
We're not gonna remove them, kill them, or cut them. We're gonna actually
Try to
hold them and
move
plant
them,
them.
yeah.
They're not Bradfords, are they?
No,
Oh.
they're,
No.
yeah, all the Bradfords.
I was gonna
got-
say, because some of them got removed a long time ago, so that's which ones you're talking
All the
about.
They were-
Bradfords got removed. There's a couple ivory silks
Yeah.
that are left
Oh,
in the
okay.
Yep.
spots that are in the construction zone.
Does the city have the means to remove them, or?
Yep.
Okay, you guys actually have it. I didn't know you guys had that.
We're talented.
No, okay. I didn't know you guys had that, but it's great.
All right, so tree watering, we've got 3,600 maintenance tables on tree watering. It was a really dry season, so we're done watering for the year. Hopefully, Mother Nature helps out a little bit more next season. We'll probably have about 300-plus trees that we'll be watering next year, so it's going to be busy next year, too. Tree fertilization, we've got 528 trees we've fertilized this year, and that's a combination of young trees to kind of help them recover from the transplant shock, and the mature trees that we're doing, they're kind of stressed out or they've got some other issues that we're trying to help them, keep them for a couple more years. It's kind of a newer program that me and Scott have been working on, so we're still working out how to do it best. But that's pretty much 2024 in a nutshell. Questions?
And then I asked before you got here about the trees that we have planted along in front of people's homes now. They're not gonna, I understand the canopy's not gonna be up in the wires like a lot of trees, the older ones that we have in the community.
Absolutely.
That just
So,
looks like hell, I think, when they cut that big V.
Cut the whole
I'm not
line.
a fan of that.
so yeah, we've been working really hard on a master plan of putting the right tree in the right spot. So we don't want to put silver maples under power lines so they get butchered. You know, we're planting red buds and dogwoods and ivory silk under the power line. Some plum trees and crab apples, things like that. So, yeah, that shouldn't be, moving forward, it shouldn't be an issue. We're not going to take all the ones that are ugly right now. We're going to keep them as long as we can, but as we transition into the future, we're going to make sure it's the right tree for the right spot.
And we haven't been planting any more silver maples, just so you know.
Them grow about 5 feet.
They grow
So-
fast, they grow,
And
and
most
no
of-
horse chestnuts.
And most of our streets have kind of like power lines down one side and not so much on the other side, at least for most of them. So you can at least just still get a shade tree on one side and at least a smaller
Yeah.
statue tree on the other
Yeah,
side.
you're correct with that. There's some that have got power lines on both sides, but not a lot,
Not a
not a
lot.
high percentage of them, so.
Dave was asking about, in particular, like Cleveland Road, we put some there and wanted to make sure those aren't gonna be up in the lines and making a mess, so I can't remember exact species we planted there.
Cleveland Road, we planted some Dawn redwoods, and there's no overhead power lines at those locations.
I
So-
think he's saying there by,
Across
Thirsty
from Marathon,
Pony.
heading towards the plaza. I guess the follow-up question is when we use this salt in the wintertime, I know that's not very good for trees. That'll,
Right.
you get
So-
a saturation of that kills, especially the ones coming from the overpass. We got them down the middle, that's just,
Butler Street overpass.
The
so,
Butler
yeah,
Street overpass.
Those, yeah, you can say what you did on those, because we did take into account a lot of salt being there.
Yes. So, yeah, that center boulevard, we put some ginkgo trees in there, and they're supposed to be very tolerant of the urban salt.
how about the beet juice? The beet juice that we use.
The beet juice.
Anybody?
We don't.
We spray that before storms and that a lot.
We have not been doing beet juice. We strict with, strictly the brine. Beet juice will help on low temperatures, but we've avoided that, in the last probably 2 to 3 years. We've kind of,
Does the city do the pre-wetting though of
yes,
salt?
we do the brining
Okay,
prior to the storm, as long as it's not raining.
Yeah.
We'll brine as much as we can.
okay.
But yes, the beet juice is an alternative, or I should say another tool to take care of some of your freezing of the road, but it's for like low temperatures where brine doesn't come into play. But
Yeah.
when we get into the low, we try to stick with just our road salt. Because the beet juice does have its benefits, but it also has its downside of them too, so. It's very messy and it actually, in some instances, I don't think in the city streets, but it can attract animals to the road, so yeah. Yep.
I have a question. Do you guys do any pesticide treatments on some trees? I know that I've seen a lot of spotted lanternflies in Erie County lately. And do you guys do anything to remove them or their eggs or anything at all? Or have you guys even seen that problem in the city area?
So we have seen a few spotted lanternflies, but no damage done by them, nothing that was major. So it's too big of a problem to just spot treat. So we're just,
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately,
so they get real sappy, correct? They it looks like there's sap pods all over it where they eat at it, correct? Because I've seen them throughout the woods, you know,
Okay.
out at the metro parks.
the couple that I seen in town that had this spotted lanternfly on them weren't, there was no, like, there was only a few of them in there. And it was close to the railroad tracks. That's where they're.
And they
coming from.
should go away for the winter anyways.
Yes.
What was planted on Sycamore Lane?
Those were plum trees right by Scott Street.
Yeah.
That area, yeah.
Yeah.
The west side of the road was the thundercloud plum, and then there was like 4 that was planted on the east side of the road that were dawn redwood.
Okay. And that goes past Fifth Street there too, right? No, it's, yeah. Fifth-
So that's right where it started. Scott and Fifth is right where we started, and we went north of Fifth.
Went north of Fifth.
Yes.
Okay. So there's some on Scott also?
Yeah, we planted some ginkgos on Scott Street.
Okay. I know there was some concern they were planted a lot of them along that stretch right there.
Yeah, there was a really big gap in the urban canopy right there.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of planting locations, so we did some contracts, bid it out for contracts, and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think we planted, what, 30 or 40? Something like that.
I wonder if it was like an instance of the trees were gone for so long that people were wondering all of a
People
sudden
will
why
be
they
all
were
of a
being
sudden,
planted.
it's like,
We did
I'm
have-
fine with it, I'm just, you
So
know,
we had, so in particular, that road, we had some complaints of how many trees, like you were saying, but
Mhm.
also that we didn't notify the residents that we were planting them. So Nate puts out a door tag in every house prior to any plant, prior to even selecting, just to be sure they want a tree.
Mhm.
Because we don't want to plant a tree that someone doesn't want, because we
Sure.
have places that people want them.
Right.
We want to give the ones
Don't
that
wanna
want them
waste
a
them.
tree.
Well, you want hopefully
So-
the landowner to take a little
That's
bit
right.
of.
So
little pride
we
in
Pride
put
in
door
creating.
tags out in every house that we're gonna plant.
Mm-hmm.
And we leave that out for at least a couple weeks.
Okay.
So if we don't hear back in a couple weeks, then we go ahead with picking out the
Makes sense.
species and then oops in it. So, and some people will call, and I think on that street in particular, I could be wrong, but we had a couple of people call after it was oops, because you see the marks in the boulevard.
Mhm.
So they called and said, hey, we don't want the tree, and we're like, okay. So Nate did, on a couple of them, pull back and not plant them, and
Mhm.
we found alternative spots for them. But we do, because we were questioned on that, and we do notify prior.
Okay,
And then once we plant them, then we also give them a door tag on how to take care of them, how to water them and all that. So contrary to what some people were saying, we do notify every
yeah, I
location
knew
prior.
that, it's just,
Now, Nate puts them on the door if it's a door, or he'll stick them, by the mailbox,
Yeah.
but,
yeah,
some people might not check them, some people, so we do our best to notify the
Notify.
trees. And then the last resort is when they oops, that's another one, so if we get notified when they oops, then he tries to find an alternative spot. So,
sounds good.
but yeah, we get a lot of calls for people that want trees, and then we have, like you said, boulevards or blocks that are decimated, and they
Mhm.
might have been decimated for 10 years.
Right.
That's
And-
what I
and
was
we've
thinking. When I
really
saw
been
some of
trying
the
to-
complaints coming out, I just
Right.
kind
Right.
of figured, well, that's been an area where it's been treeless for
Yeah, and
a
we've been
significant
trying to
amount,
hit
so it's
those.
different.
Right.
Like hit those first before we just fill in a spot here, a spot there, you know what I mean? We're trying to hit a whole block.
And I
Or
think
several blocks.
it's also a hard balance too. It's not like, the street trees provide an important asset to the city on multiple levels. I mean, we kind of did that through the inventory and trying to put a value on all that.
Right.
And I think it's great that you guys, if somebody is very, very opposed to it, you're like, okay, we can try to work this out. But it can't be under that scenario of we'll just say you don't want it and then we won't plant anything anywhere because we can't
Right.
necessarily be
Right.
a treeless boulevard either.
And we,
So,
we've come across, and Elizabeth handles a lot of those calls back, and we've come across people who are like, my neighbor doesn't want one. Well, that's fine, but have your neighbor call us. Like, we don't want to just, a neighbor saying they don't want it because maybe they don't want leaves in their yard, or, you know what I mean? So, because we've had cases where they've called and then it's like, no, I do want a tree. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, no, I do want to try.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't take it away. So
Right.
we get in those instances too, but we have we've been doing this for at least, I would say 3 to 5 years, notifying with a door tag, because we get so many and we want people to take care of them, to your point, like.
right, and you don't want
'cause
vandalism or
right,
anything else on
and
it.
we've had that even, actually, just in the last month, we had a tree It's probably what, maybe 4 inches of caliper?
It was probably about 3. It was part of the GLRI planning that we did, and somebody just cut it with a saw.
Just cut it right in half.
And it was just laying in the
They
boot.
just
Right.
trimmed it at the base.
Yeah. About a foot out.
Tree trimming.
It was young tree tree.
Young tree.
Right. I mean, and like, to your point, like, that's what's gonna happen if we do plant
Right,
it. So why waste our time and, you know what I mean? When there's
No, I think
plenty of
you guys are doing
plenty
the
of
right thing,
room.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you've got an offer that, hey, you know, if you're very adamant about
Right.
not being the tree, but it also gives you guys a chance to be like, you know, what's
Right.
your concerns with the tree, and here's why we're trying to do it, and sometimes that can sway people too. I mean, and I think too, and we've seen this on the tree commission with, you know, a big complaint that does come in, especially with an aging population, is leaf cleanup.
Right.
And I know a lot of them are like, just get the tree out, because I don't want to clean up
Right.
the leaves anymore. Well, but then what happens when the house gets sold and people, you know, and, you know,
Right.
it's kind of that balancing act between like what's right for the full community and longevity of the canopy
And
versus.
a lot of times when Nate takes them down, because he does notify them too, like, hey, this tree's coming down because it's a hazard, or, you know. So when we do take it down, they'll usually say like, I want a tree. And he either makes a note in, you know, in GIS on that they want a tree planted, and then when we make our list in the spring and the fall, like, that's all, we all sit down, the three of us, and come up, okay, here's our plan, well, this is where we're gonna put them. So we pull all that information. So a lot of people will tell us that when we cut it down, hey, I want one back, okay, great, you know, so. But actually, when we started, that list was probably, had to be over 200 of requests, and we're down to like, now we can manage it to where we get like 20 or 30, so.
It's wonderful.
And some people want them on the corner, like in front of a stop sign, where it's not a good placement of it, so we, you know, even though they want it, it's not the best fit, so.
Right. I think we've even had some instances too where someone got a tree taken down on the boulevard, but there's another one on their property very close. So it
Right.
still kind of serves that same
Right,
shade
right.
and aesthetic purpose too.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make sense to add another tree.
Right.
So-
And there's some, that point at the old Campbell School, there's those crabs in a boulevard, if you go down Tyler, and then you've got, is it Linden's on the private property side where the school is?
Yeah, I
And
don't
they've
know what, yeah.
encroached on it.
Right.
So we're gonna end up taking them down, cause it's like, they're in such bad shape and they're struggling, they're not good, you know, they're just dying off slowly but surely. And we're not gonna replace it, we talked, because you got all those trees on the inside, so, you know, why do that? So, but yeah, we've come across quite a few of those too.
That same thing I noticed hasn't been a long time, Washington, it was nice to see the trees go in the boulevard there, because
Oh, yeah.
they've been bare for a long time.
Yep, that was one, yeah, and we're gonna put some more down on Water, but I didn't know, but I thought some houses were going up there, but I did check with Aaron, and he said, no, not at this time, so we're gonna fill in some of those boulevards, because they're actually good boulevards to put a tree in there, so. Yep, trying to fill it back as we
Yeah.
get along here.
Let's see, old, Tree Academy, anybody doing the tree?
Kippy is signed
Kip, you doing
up.
it?
We've got some city staff who's gonna go, including our planning department. I was just waiting, for Bree. Morgan can't go, because Morgan will be on maternity.
So it is, you're only doing level one, or how, do they still do freshman, sophomore, or whatever?
Still labeled like that?
I would have to go back and look again, but I think I've already done freshman, sophomore, and possibly junior. I think I never finished with the final one. I think
And that's why there's no rush, I think, with all of you, you two, John
Okay.
and James. We would just be like signing you up like at no cost because you've already attended previously.
Okay.
So there's not a big rush, but we do have to get you registered before December. So if you can let me know if you do want to, December 18th, we have to have you registered by. But everybody who's needing to like register as a freshman is
Okay.
already signed up.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to go, Commissioner Waddington.
Well, I'll know, the 17th, I go to my knee doctor, so.
Okay,
Now, is that,
I
is
might be on the
that,
sidewalk.
because like when they do it, they usually open it up to
Walkers.
lots of people, right? Is it ODNR then that does the advertisement on a grander scale outside of our area?
Yes, and it's already, it was capped at 25 and registration's
already-
already closed.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
but we're
Okay,
allowed
good.
to continue to
I was
sign
just
people
thinking,
up.
because like
for
Vermilion's
Sandusky.
commission, if they still have theirs, and Huron, I know there was an interested group there. So I was
Yeah,
hoping
I don't know
maybe some
who
of the
signed up, but yeah, it's already, like, it closed the day it opened. When we
Wow.
went to register people, it was already
Wow.
closed.
up that fast.
Well, and I
did.
don't think they've done one in this, not this area meaning Sandusky, but
Right.
in the ODNR area. I
Right.
feel like there hasn't been one lately, because I think there was a little bit of turnover
Right.
between Alan leaving and,
Yes,
Is Stephanie still running the?
well, Stephanie was doing it for a little bit, then
She is doing it.
I don't know if she got
She still-
converted to
she
something
still
else,
has
and now
her-
she's,
She got a promotion, I think. She's still doing her district, but she's in charge of like half the state too.
okay, so
I
do they
think.
now have
So, and
that
then,
position backfilled, like what Alan did and stuff?
so Matt filled Allen's spot, but they're adding another, district, so they're adding another person.
Okay.
So I believe for the Tree Commission Academy that Stephanie's gonna be the one teaching it.
Okay, I think she taught the last one
She
when I was
is.
here,
Yeah.
so, because I think it was her and Alan that did it.
yeah.
It's just those 2 days, correct?
What day of the week, do you know?
I want to say Wednesday and
Wednesday
Thursday.
and Thursday?
Yes,
And it's all day, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 9 to 3.
it's all day and the city will provide like lunch
we
and
always have
breakfast
And
and
it's at Simon
snacks.
Ave.
Yeah, no, at the pavilion on the pier.
That's better.
Hey, you gotta get a parking spot, Bert. You better park, set out.
When were the dates of this again?
Yeah, we're lucky to have that
I mean,
location, so.
it's a really good training. I enjoyed it when I
Yeah.
went through it, you know.
Yeah,
Gosh, how long ago did I do it? I have no idea.
You did it way before
Way-
I did,
yeah.
I think.
I think that's when I was first started on the commission, I guess. Okay, anything else, new biz? Old biz, I mean. Okay, any new business? Anything we need to cover?
Oh, I didn't realize those were the dates under it. I missed that there wasn't another bullet point right there. I thought that was a different day.
It says here something about the Tree City USA application.
just that we're submitting it.
It's just a normal year one, not a growth award.
Yeah, I
one.
don't think we'll get the growth award's tricky. Maybe when Nate and I could sit down one year and figure out at the beginning of the year how to, because a lot of it's like their metrics
Yeah,
are,
but-
like, we're well within, like, we're growing for sure, but when, like, what you have to submit to qualify, it's
So
like we don't have that data.
You haven't submitted
Easily
though, this one
available.
yet, have you?
No.
This year's one? I mean, I would almost argue, it seems to me like the management stuff is a little bit different and upscaled, and I know you get a lot of extra points for that, so, because I mean, like, even your guys' fertilizer stuff, how long have you guys been doing that on new trees?
We just started last fall.
Okay, so
Right.
like, that's a
Or spring.
huge.
Right,
Because like, so I know like the way that they separate their categories, like things like holding an event or an education thing or something like
Right.
that are, they're points, but they're not as many points as like an actual management change for the
Right.
city. So I wouldn't necessarily discredit
No,
looking
I
at the
definitely
growth
look at
award
it.
for this year.
yeah,
Because you do have the metrics at least
right,
for, you know, how you guys have, you know, upscaled the storm and stuff, the zone trimming. I don't know if you're on full zone trimming yet, but you know what I mean? Like, I just,
yeah,
what you guys reported today, I know is way, way different than even a couple years ago.
Right.
So I wouldn't discredit it,
right.
so.
Yeah, I'll definitely review it and see what we can get.
Even I don't think this was last summer. I absolutely loved the mulch volcano thing you guys did by
Yeah.
the library. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was out bike riding.
We
and I,
did
like,
submit that last
I
year.
stopped
Yeah.
and had to take pictures, had to like post on social media.
I wish
was
more people
great.
would watch your video. I still see a lot of it out there.
I know.
And it's a lot of
You know, I have a,
businesses, big businesses that hire contractors, yeah.
not that I think this is the right
I watched it,
approach,
Nate.
but I have a friend in Cuyahoga County who literally just drives around and takes photos and puts people on blast for having those volcanoes. It's kind of funny. It's like her own personal crusade, but no, like I thought that was well done and that's creative and that's something that I even think on Growth Award. I mean, if you
Yeah.
guys have done any of those things, you might be surprised
Yeah,
what you might be able to qualify. So I wouldn't, when you do the application, I'd give it a look over.
yeah, for sure.
Any new business? Okay. Any announcements? Next meeting,
Happy holidays.
happy holidays, yeah, Merry
Probably
Christmas.
January or February, once I
We'll see.
get done with this application, I'll get stuff on calendars. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah. Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas, huh?
Yeah.